Okay, I'm just heading out fishing today to Oak Lake, and I thought it was a perfect time to talk about CVTs, continuously variable transmissions. And I'm sitting in my 2004 GMC Sierra right now, and I'm gonna head out to the lake, and it does not have a CVT in it. It has an automatic transmission. So I thought we would just make a video showing the difference between them. If you had a CVT, it would look very similar as far as it just has a gear shifter, you put it in drive and you go. The difference is an automatic transmission actually has specific gears and a CVT does not. So I'm on the side of the road and drive here. I want you to watch the RPM gauge, the tachometer on the left, and the vehicle speed, and we'll watch it shift through its 4-speed transmission. I should be in first right now. I lied. Got up into second already. When I switch gears, like I'm about to right now, you'll see the RPM gauge on the left drop as I go into my next gear. And every single time I change gears, we're going to have that significant RPM change. So that was under light acceleration. I did start in first, but I did a quick upshift to second because I didn't have my foot into it. So I'm going to pull over to the side of the road here when it's safe to do so. Don't have any traffic. And we're going to accelerate much harder this time. And you're going to see the difference in that RPMs on the left. That first takeoff was just casual shifting. Hold on to your hat, Janessa. We're going to be going pretty fast. Okay? All right. So we're going to accelerate a little bit harder this time. It's going to stay in first gear. There's my hard shift right there. There's another shift. And then there's fourth gear. Put my cruise on. I'm at about 100. Looks like I'm at 2,000 RPMs. Over here I have the tow haul button here. And to just hit that. And you'll see it does nothing when I'm at cruising speed. But if I had my tow haul button on while I was accelerating, it would feel even a little bit more harsh and a little bit more aggressive shifting. So my automatic transmission uses planetary gear sets, and it has an actual 4 different gears with 4 different distinct gear ratios. We're going to head out to the lake here today, and I'm going to have an opportunity to show you CVTs while I'm out there, and that's where I'll pick up with you next. Okay, well, I'm out at my favorite fishing spot. We had some ice auger issues, but chainsaw saved the day. Maybe you recognize this place or not, whatever. We came out here to learn about CVTs because I'm sure that's what every other school teacher's doing on Christmas break, and looking at their skidoo and saying, hey, this is just a great opportunity to show you CVT. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to hopefully catch some fish. Maybe we'll get some fish on during this. This would be nice. This is my old Formula Z. It's 1998. Same year I graduated high school. So back in when I was 18 and 17, this is probably the machine I wanted. Now that I'm old, I can have it. Okay. So there's that CVT right there. And people on snowmobiles don't call them CVTs. They just have a primary clutch and a secondary clutch. The primary clutch is attached to the engine, and the faster the motor spins, it has some weights inside it that are going to squeeze these pulleys together, and you're going to see this as it's running. This pulley is going to get bigger, 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 bigger as the engine goes faster, faster, faster. Okay, so right now it's a very small pulley, kind of like first gear in a car, driving a big pulley. When this one starts to squeeze, this one's going to start spinning. And when this one spins, it spins the track of the snowmobile. And it also has weights in it, the secondary clutch. The faster this spins, the wider apart it's going to get, and the smaller of a pulley it's going to create. So, on the engine, if we go max speed, this pulley will get as big as it can. This one's going to start getting as small as it can, and that would be my fastest gear. Right now I'm in my lowest gear, which is a small pulley and a big pulley. Oh, looks like the fire's going. I'm sure there was no assistance from the fuel in my chainsaw over there. So what we're going to do is we're going to fire this thing up, hopefully it'll run, and show you CVT. Kill switch out. Reliable old sled. You can see that I'm getting very safe here, 6-ton jack stand, and I do have the snowmobile pointed towards, the open lake. Maybe my daughter's in the way, but she'll be alright. If this thing comes off, the faster I rev up the engine, as the engine speed got faster, this pulley got bigger, bigger, bigger by squeezing those two together. When the speed of the track got high, this one started to spread apart, which made the pulley smaller. So essentially what you had was a big pulley driving a little pulley, or what we'd like to call in an automatic transmission overdrive. One more time. So a CVT in a car has a primary clutch and a secondary clutch as well. It's inside of a transmission case full of oil, and the belt is actually a metal chain. But the concept is exactly the same. What you get is infinite amount of gear ratios. There's no first gear, second gear, third gear, or fourth. There's just slow, medium, and fast. CVTs are great for low horsepower applications like our golf carts, our snowmobiles, our cars, and our small SUVs. They do not hold up to heavy torque and heavy pulling, so that's why you won't see them in a truck or anything like that. Again, primary clutch, secondary clutch, and then a belt, which is made out of chain in a car. So I'm going to support this later with my Nissan Altima on a road test, which is actually a car with a CVT. And we're going to use some Electune modules to show that chain and stuff. Fire's going. Bobbers are up. Looks like I better do some waiting. Okay, I'm back home and off the lake, and I've jumped into this Nissan Altima of mine. And the reason I've jumped into this car is to do this video is this vehicle does have a CVT. So the highway is pretty difference between that automatic transmission, almost the similarities with the Skidoo, and this car. I'll turn off the heat. You don't have that blaring. So, it's got a gear shifter just like any other car. Park, reverse, neutral drive, or and then it actually has this little mode that goes off to the side where you can manually shift. We're going to put it in drive and try to explain that manual shift afterwards. But watch the tachometer on the left. That's the engine RPMs. I'll try to keep my foot nice and steady. And that's speedometer on the right. It's funny, about halfway there, it looked like my car had this gigantic shift. But with the CVT, there is no shifting of gears necessarily. It's just that primary clutch and that secondary clutch doing their thing. Any type of large RPM drops you see on the left is going to be, will have more to do with my foot, or the fact that this car has 330,000 kilometers on it more than anything. So CVTs do have some advantages, as the car's computer can determine the best gear ratio for all situations almost, right? And its high gear can be a large advantage if I don't have any load on my vehicle, maybe I have the wind at my back or anything like that. You can really experience some really good fuel economy due to that low engine RPM, because it's overdrive. Most automatic transmissions just have one overdrive, where this vehicle could, you know, decide to really raise or lower that gear ratio, if you will. Okay, I'm going to accelerate a little harder this time. My foot's to the floor. You'll have to excuse my gutless 2.5 liter engine. But as my foot's into it, you can see, I gotta stop now, that the RPMs just kept, you know, they went from low to high. There was no transitions of gear changes or anything like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over to this manual shifting mode. Watch my RPMs and try to keep it around 100. And now I'm shifting through the gears. I'm in fourth, I'm in third, and it's starting to feel like an automatic transmission. It has presets, and it has 5 of them, 5 automatic presets, where they're just like gears. When I switch to 4th gear, it's lining that primary and secondary clutch up to a predetermined location that the computer has for that gear ratio, and it starts to feel like an automatic transmission, just in case anybody was missing that feeling. CVTs, yeah, there's nothing wrong with them, you know, there's nothing the greatest about them. They this car gets average fuel economy. It doesn't have crazy power or anything like that. It's just another way of doing things. Again, like I mentioned earlier, they haven't found a way to make CVTs really, really tough and take a lot of torque yet. So if you're going to really abuse your vehicle or tow with your vehicle, probably a CVT is not for you. Okay, well, that's riding in a vehicle with CVT. You've probably ridden in quite a few vehicles before with CVT, you just never noticed. Hopefully I can get back to school there and some student can deal with that funny looking light, that yellow light that's on my tack gauge. I don't know if anybody can tell me what that is. I'm sure hope they can. If not, I should stop teaching them. I'm gonna go over to Electude and show the inside of a CVT and later part of this video. So we're going to finish up this lesson with CVTs. As you can see, I have an Electude module open, and it's showing the inside of the continuously variable transmission right here. If we can compare this to the Skidoo clutch, it's a lot more advanced than it, but it works under the exact same principle. It has a primary pulley, which I called on the snowmobile primary clutch, and the secondary pulley here would be the secondary clutch. Similar to an automatic transmission though, this vehicle here has a torque converter, and the torque converter is going to allow it to come to a stop so the engine can still spin at its 1000 RPMs, its 800 RPMs, and the vehicle will be stationary and not move anywhere. Then it also has a hydraulic clutch back here to allow the CVT to have both reverse and forward gears. The Skidoo that I was showing you earlier only had forward gears, but there are lots of CVT Skidoos that have reverse as well. So if I go into this module here, there's just a little gas pedal here. I'm going to step on the gas pedal. Here's that primary pulley, here's the secondary pulley. It does look identical to that Skidoo operation looking from this vantage point. Up here you can see there's a little bit more going on inside, but the same principles apply. When I step on the accelerator, you're going to see that pulley on the left get bigger and the one on the right get smaller. So there's our gear ratio, our high or our low gear ratio for a high speed right there. And as I slow down, you can see those kind of work together, where the one on the left is going to get bigger, the one on the right has to get smaller. And that's a little bit more true than with the Skidoo that had a rubber belt on it that maybe has a little bit of stretch or a little bit of give. This is a metal drive belt, so it's a little less forgiving that way. They're very, the design and the engineering behind them are quite extraordinary actually. But that's what's happening in that Nissan Altima that we just took for a spin down the road. And like I say, because this primary gear seems to have so many variable sizes, and this has so many variable sizes, it gives you what would feel like an infinite gear ratio and smooth acceleration, deceleration with no shifting. Alrighty, well I think that has shown you how a CVT works.